Hi, this is Les Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. I heard the Indians are playing ball down at Progressive tomorrow, and there's no chance that they're going to get rained out. If there is a season and they get off to a good start, you can credit the weather people. Pretty sure that there's never been a home opener in Cleveland with temperatures in the 90s, and that could happen in the next couple of weeks. It's just too bad that nobody's going to be allowed to see it live, no matter how many tickets they bought. Mary Kay Cabot is here. We'll talk football and more. More sports, and Les Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les Levine on a Thursday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les Levine. Soon to be in our 25th consecutive year exclusively right here on cleveland.com. Mary Kay Cabot is with us, soaking up the sun today, getting ready for football. Could you imagine a rookie comes into Cleveland and said, "I thought you said the weather was bad in this town"?
Yeah, this would be the week. It's going to be a scorcher, and it almost feels like one of those mid-August camp weeks, right, where you're just out there sweltering away.
Yeah. Some of the rookies come into town and they look at the historical pictures and they say, "Is that snow on the ground? Are we going to have to do that?" 216-575-0403 is the number to call if you'd like to get in to talk to Mary Kay Cabot. We'll talk Cleveland Browns, anything that's on your mind. The Indians getting started with the third portion of spring training. That'll be tomorrow down at Progressive Field. So lots of stuff happening. Mary Kay, the stuff that keeps happening here, it looks like everything is fine, then it isn't fine, then one governor says this and another governor says that. Is this the way it's going to be for the next 3-4 weeks until they actually try to get the football started?
Yes, I think so. I mean, there is so much going on right now around the country with rules in terms of who has to come into a state and quarantine and who can go from state to state, without doing so. And, I think it's going to kind of put training camp into a state of flux, actually. As of right now, it's still supposed to start on July 28th. They have canceled the first preseason game and the last preseason game, so they only have to worry about the two middle ones. But there's just still so much work to be done. Yeah, to hear J.C. Treader tell it in an essay on an open letter to players on NFLPA.com this week, he is basically saying there's a lot of work to be done. There are a lot of hurdles to cross before we will let these members get out on the football field and play.
Do you think it's partially because the NFL has really done a good job of preparing themselves, but there's nobody making an ultimate decision? It's not like a czar of sports. There's not like just because Goodell wants it doesn't mean it's going to happen. Is that what's happening here, that there's nobody actually calling the shots?
Well, yeah, that's part of it. I mean, the NFL and the NFLPA have to agree on everything. And the way that JC put it in his letter was, we have just begun our fight for player safety. And those are some pretty strong words that he's saying there, but he means it. I mean, he's got the safety of not only the players but their families in his hands. This is happening on his watch. It's an enormous job that he has right now, but because everyone's looking to him for answers, and it's not that it's just all up to him, but again, he is the president of the NFLPA right now.
Well, you say they're just getting started. How is that possible? How is that possible?
Because the rules continue to change. So, you could have started maybe a month ago, but there was a whole different set of rules that you were playing under a month ago. Now that camp is actually getting set to start, now it's time to play within those rules and those parameters and try to figure out what can and can't happen and how they can get these guys out there for what he calls, the ultimate contact sport with a contact virus, and try to pull this off.
0 to 100. What number do you put on that the NFL plays, starts when it's supposed to and finishes when it's supposed to?
Wow, that's a good one. I'm going to say right now, I'll say that there's a a 75% chance that it will.
That it will go off as planned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't think a lot of us would have thought that a couple of weeks ago or a month or two ago.
Yeah, it's, again, there's so much changing around the country. I mean, even Anthony Fauci came out again and expressed some doubt about whether or not football is going to be able to happen. He's been consistent in that message. Probably one of the only things he's been consistent about through this whole process. But he's consistently said that he's not sure that football will be able to get onto the field in the fall. He doesn't really know quite exactly how that's going to happen when everything's sort of ramping up again.
Yeah, well, he is a football fan, so it's not like some guy coming down with these edicts that at least he knows where it's coming from. And I think we all understand we want football back and we want it safe. It's pretty simple, except it's not simple in its execution.
No, it's not simple at all. And I think the thing about J.C. Tretter is that he has, and we've talked about this before, he is fiercely protecting those players. He's taking this job very, very seriously. And no matter what anybody else is saying, he keeps bringing it back to the number one issue of player safety. Because, I mean, truthfully, they're not even 100% sure if fans are going to be there. But if you're trying to field a football game, it's all about players trying to pull this off in a way that, that will work for them. And he just brings up a great point. There are plenty of NFL players who are at higher risk for COVID complications or severe illness because of their body mass index, because of their asthma and other health issues. So this isn't just, 90 invincible players on every roster going out and playing a game and being, larger than life. These are real people with real underlying health issues.
Yeah, I think we all assume everybody's the same, and if they're positive or negative, it's all in one basket. But that's not the case. I hadn't even thought about that. That a defensive back is different than a defensive lineman, as far as how yeah. It's interesting. All right, so let's talk football as if we're going to have it here, because the Cleveland Browns don't have a realistic chance to do much if they don't get their quarterback situation taken care of. Bill Barnwell of ESPN had some things to say. What if we have to start somewhere in fixing Baker Mayfield? Begin with his pocket presence. It was clear that in September that he didn't trust his offensive line or believe that he was going to be able to work through his progressions from a stable pocket. He was too quick in ball laterally to escape the pocket when he didn't see what he wanted or expected at the end of his drop back. At first hint of pressure, he often tried to escape, and once he did, things really typically didn't go off well. He posted a passer rating of just 44.9 when he threw from out of the pocket in 2009, the second worst mark in football. He wasn't that bad the year before, though. I don't know the exact number, but it seemed that looked to be one of his strengths.
It was one of his strengths, and I think that it will be one of his strengths again this year when Kevin Stefanski and Alex Van Pelt have him rolling out and bootlegging and throwing on the run.
Right.
One of the things that we identified in Baker Mayfield as a strength in 2018 is that he could nail it on the run. I mean, that is just beautiful music by him when he can just, use his torque and his agility to throw whatever off his back foot, on the move, on the run, and he could put it on the mark. He was able to do that. But he was playing with confidence in 2018. He was playing with swagger in 2018. And he didn't play with any of that in 2019 because he was largely trying to figure things out on his own. When he was going bad mechanically, he didn't really have anybody that was going to help him dig out of that rut. And just from a schematic standpoint, it was a mess. So everything that happened last year, they've already chipped away at, and they're working hard at it. And I think we'll see a much better Baker Mayfield in 2020.
Look how many jobs that costs people in Berea, because if Baker Mayfield becomes Freddie Kitchens becomes the head coach based on what he was able to do with Baker Mayfield, and he couldn't do it, so it all the way down the line from GM to head coach to offensive coordinator, that problem caused a lot of problems and a lot of jobs.
It sure did. And, I was kind of trying to beat the drum a little bit in the second half of 2018 for everyone to kind of temper the enthusiasm a little bit and take a look at the defenses that they were playing. I mean, they played horrible defenses down the stretch in 2018. So I think people got a little too overly excited. Even all the national experts and the pundits, nobody wanted to take a look at the truth. And that was, they beat the Cincinnati Bengals twice, and they had the 32nd ranked defense, I think. They were playing like the 30th defense, the 31st, the 32nd. I mean, they were playing horrible defenses. Then they beat the Panthers when Cam Newton, I've said this before, couldn't hit the ocean from the beach in that game. And, there were just some things that happened down the stretch that lent themselves to everyone kind of overstating Freddie Kitchens and kind of overrating him, overrating Baker's ability a little bit at that time, and just thinking that he had completely 100% arrived and he was ready to take the team to the promised land.
But
I think
it looks like, however, that the national people are coming to the side of the Browns and Baker Mayfield in this, and just assuming that Stefanski is going to be able to do a job with him. Are they overrating him this year?
Well, you know what? Everybody's saying the same thing. And I've heard a few people say, that's what makes me nervous. Everyone is coming out and saying the same thing. One of the only sort of experts that I've seen that hasn't, completely bought into the whole notion of a complete 180 by Baker Mayfield that was Chris Sims from NBC Sports. And he did he ranked all the quarterbacks in the NFL, and he had Baker at number 21. And he just doesn't seem to be 100% sold on the fact that this is going to all just be, rose petals this year, that there, will be some growing pains and maybe even, a rocky road here and there.
As long as you're throwing numbers around, what if Sims said that number would have been 12 on Baker Mayfield? We'd take that, wouldn't we? With all the other things that they have offensively and defensively?
Yes, I think if he had said 12, I would not have been shocked by that.
Right.
Because I think a lot of people expect Baker Mayfield to be a top 10 quarterback this season. I've talked to a number of people already that really believe that, in part because quarterbacks put up huge numbers in these Kevin Stefanski offenses, the Kyle Shanahan offense. It's the same thing, that West Coast offense with the play action and the wide zone and lots of running and 2 tight ends. It's basically, what Kyle took to the Super Bowl last year and did so well here with Brian Hoyer. So I think people really are expecting that, and it's all set up for that. I actually myself would be surprised if he doesn't have a pretty strong rebound.
I agree with you. 216-575-0403 is the number to call Mary Kay Cabot. You can call Hey Mary Kay from Plain Dealer, and of course cleveland.com. Did you know the Ohio Lottery has paid out over $1 billion in winnings over the last 6 months? People are winning in record numbers, and winning is happening all around the state of Ohio. Play an Ohio Lottery game and play it today. You can follow us on Facebook. It's real simple. We'll post the question in the morning. You post an answer or a response all day long. We talk about it on the air later that night. More sports and less Levine exclusively on cleveland.com. Back in a moment with Mary Kay Cabot.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions, or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Do you like Ohio State football? Would you like to get information from me, Doug Lesmerises, about Ohio State football without having to look at my face? We have got the plan for you. Become an Ohio State text subscriber through cleveland.com. You send a text, 614-350-3315. What do you get? 2, 3, 4 texts right in your phone every day about Ohio State football. Inside information, polls, voting, all kinds of things. You can be on our podcast. We take text subscriber questions on our Buckeye Talk podcast every week. If you really want to be involved with Ohio State football, in season or out of season. Become an Ohio State Tech subscriber from cleveland.com. Send a text to 614-350-3315. 14-day free trial. What do you have to lose? $3.99 a month after that. 614-350-3315. I'll see you in your phone.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a four-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Birthdays for today. How he did it. I don't know how he did it. Tony Armas, Clark Kellogg, Jose Canseco, Sean Casey, former Indian, and Calvin Pryor, all celebrating birthdays today. Clark Kellogg, you know, for Mary Kay, for several years, I thought that Clark Kellogg did his first play-by-play game on television with me. And I did his second game with me, but you know, sometimes your memory is bad, and apparently he had a better memory than I. And by the way, he did a better job than I did also. He was a terrific color commentator, terrific guy. And for those who don't know Clark Kellogg as a player, those of you who saw LeBron James as obviously the top player in high school history in Ohio, Clark Kellogg not too far behind. Mary Kay Cabot is with us. Talk about a guy who does a terrific job, Nick Chubb. Now, we mentioned in the last segment that some of the people coming clean on how they feel about Baker Mayfield. Now all of a sudden everybody seems to be really charged up about Nick Chubb. What do you think about him?
Well, you know, you just can't say enough good things about Nick Chubb. He's such a team player. He's quiet. When he gets to the end zone, he's humble. He acts like he's been there before. All he wants to do is win football games. I think he kind of embodies the vibe of Cleveland. To me, in some ways, he's sort of the face of the franchise, or has been a little bit, even though there's been all these other big name stars like Baker and Odell and Jarvis and Miles. Nick seems to me to sort of say Cleveland Browns, and you know, he's just that old school runner.
Okay, does he prove the adage that in the NFL you can find a runner almost anywhere? Instead of, you know, Barkley was taken as a first pick, and some other guys have, but Chubb shows that if you did it right and you did your homework, you can find a guy.
Yeah, that's true. I think the key going forward will be, and of course we know how the Browns feel about Nick Chubb, and they of course want to keep him and for the long term because they love him. But you know, when it comes to economics, they are going to have some decisions to make on Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and who do you pay and how much do you pay them? How much do they value the running back position from an analytics standpoint? And they're going to run this like a business. So as we move forward, it'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out. Okay,
let's take a look at the top running backs for 2020 as decided by CBSSports.com. Let's take a look. Christian McCaffrey is number 1 with the Panthers. Ezekiel Elliott, the Cowboys. Saquon Barkley is number 3 with the Giants. Derrick Henry with the Titans, and they've got Nick Chubb as number 10, number 5 rather. So what does CBS Sports say about that? Well, it's kind of interesting language, but Chubb is an animal by any and all measures, and the fact that Cleveland was able to secure him without using a first-round pick is a coup. Chubb is a premier back who, as crazy as it sounds, hasn't hit his peak yet. That'll happen when Baker Mayfield and the passing attack can start consistently stretching the field, leaving opposing defenses with the inability to stack the box against Chubb. once that begins to happen, not even animal control will be able to get this dog back to the cage. It'll be interesting because one thing that'll save him, I think, Mary Kay, not that he needs to be saved, but if he gets help with that two-back offense they're supposed to have, that'll give him more chance to recover. It'll give him just more chance to use his talent.
You know, it's interesting because Kevin Stefanski, when we had the Zoom call with him last week, he readily admitted that he is really thinking about how am I going to divvy up this pie? And they do have a good problem in who do you give the ball to? Whose hands do you take the ball out of when you've got a Kareem Hunt, who led the NFL in rushing as a rookie, and Nick Chubb, who almost led the NFL in rushing last year, right behind Derrick Henry. So, it's a great problem to have, but I wonder how this is going to go. I know they're going to run the ball a lot, but how do you keep both of those guys happy and fresh and contributing?
Well, you also you've added some tight ends. That's number one, and you also have a fullback that you haven't had. So it's going to be interesting not only how many touches they get, but what kind of touches they're going to get.
Well, yeah, and I think you could do so many things with Kareem Hunt that if he starts to show that he needs to be on the field and deserves to be on the field to help this football team win, you can use him as a fullback at times. You can use him as an H-back in your two tight end scheme. You can split him out wide. You can put him in the slot. He can catch the ball. I think he'll be invaluable. And I don't think that they're going to share with the Baltimore Ravens exactly how they're going to use him because, he wasn't that, he didn't play that large of a role last year. So he's a little bit of an unknown and a little bit of a weapon that they can spring upon their early opponents.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. You can email us during the show at reallesslevine@gmail.com. Don't forget Dave Bacon tomorrow night from 6 until 7. He'll have the winners, the weekend winners coming for you right here on cleveland.com. We'll come back with a How Come Quickie. We'll find out what Grant Delpit means to this team. Mary Kay Cabot joins us exclusively on cleveland.com.
Celebrate Naturestone's 30-year anniversary with a free Naturestone floor. During 2020, we will be giving away 30 free floors to 30 very lucky customers to say thank you for making Naturestone the best concrete flooring solution for garages, basements, and more. Call or visit naturestone.com today to register to win, and we'll send you a copy of our new buyer's guide absolutely free. There's no purchase necessary. Winners will be chosen monthly. With over 30 million square feet installed for more than 60,000 customers, it's easy to see why I always say it's not just a floor. Wow, it's Naturestone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Time for a How Come Quickie. How come spring training is going to be held during spring, winter, and summer? That's almost a record. It's almost a record. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Mary Kay Cabot is with us. If you want more How Come Quickies tomorrow, they're forcing me to do them, Mary Kay, on 92.3 The Fan sometime.
All right, I'll be listening.
If not, I'll send them to you. You can grade.
Okay.
You can grade them for me. Speaking of grades and how you rate people, Grant Delpit was a guy that I was two things. Number one, I was happy to see that he fell, but I was concerned as he fell a little bit. It might have been a problem. Maybe they didn't want to take him either, but it did work out that way for the Browns. Does he look like a guy that they can depend on from day one?
I think so. I think when you draft somebody in the second round, you're looking for an immediate starter there. And I think that that is the plan for Grant Delpit. He will have some tackling issues, but he'll work on those. I think he's willing. And sometimes in college, I don't know that they're willing to completely sacrifice their body when they're trying to, to come out and maybe be a number one overall. I mean, not number one overall pick, but a first round pick.
Right.
And so I think he'll be a willing tackler. I think he'll make an impact. I've actually said that I think he will probably make the biggest impact of the Browns rookies this season because he'll be active. I think he's going to be on the field a ton, and I think he has a chance to get some interceptions, make some big plays.
The thing that I wonder is the image of him, or the problem with him was that he apparently couldn't tackle very well, and then he had some injuries to go along with that. But grading tackling is, and I know there must be an analytical way to do that, but grading tackling is so subjective. I'm not sure how you can compare a missed tackle with a guy here and then another guy here and use the same grading system.
Well, yeah, it is somewhat subjective. And then there are those other times where you can blatantly, clearly see a whiff. And those are the kinds of things that Grant Delpit will have to avoid. I mean, he's going to have a lot of responsibility. He'll be playing in different sub defenses. And, they'll probably only have 2 linebackers on the field a lot of the time. And so a lot will be asked of him in coverage, down in the box. And, I think he'll have an opportunity to make a lot of noise this season.
Let's take a look and listen to what Corey Kinnan of Fansided says about his biggest obstacle. He says Delpit must first improve his tackling woes that are in the past, as his stock dropped predominantly because of concerns surrounding the willingness to wrap up in space. In other words, that means he moved out of the way. I think that's how you basically say that. Although he played through a high ankle sprain, a significant hindrance in one's ability to change directions on a dime. And he struggled to tackle throughout his career. Missed tackles go back to his year in 2017. He missed 13 tackles, 2018, 13, and 2019, 16. And his missed tackle rate was 20%. But again, I'm going to say also that is really subjective. And they'll see. They haven't had him on the field yet to see him, but I'm sure that they will. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Mary Kay Cabot is with us. The defensive backfield in general, I'm scared of it. How about you?
You know what? Actually not. I kind of think that they added some guys that will fare pretty well this year. What needs to happen in the defensive backfield, Greedy Williams, he needs to step his game up a little bit. He needs to work on his technique, and he needs to improve from his rookie year. But his defensive coordinator now has a secondary coach background, and I think Joe Woods will really help coach him up and work on that technique. Unfortunately for Greedy, he did not have an offseason for them to dig in and get their hands on him so they could see exactly what he needs and get the muscle memory going. Some of that is going to have to take place during training camp, but I think, Denzel Ward is super solid. I don't think they have anything to worry about with him. Then Grant Delpit, he may have his growing pains here and there in terms of the tackling, but you're bringing in a Carl Joseph. I think that, he'll be pretty good at the strong safety spot. And, then you've got Terrence Mitchell and some other guys that can provide some depth.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. And we'll come back in a moment. Mary Kay Cabot is with us. They've got the east, west, and south. That's where you're going to find the locations of Northeast Factory Direct. Check them out. Go to the website first, northeastfactorydirect.com. Those 3 locations, West 140th Street in Cleveland, as well as in Euclid on Lakeland Boulevard, and of course Freeway Drive, that's the new one, that's in Macedonia, or northeastfactorydirect.com. We'll come back in a moment. We'll talk linebackers. We'll talk Clay Matthews, the youngest Clay Matthews. Back in a moment. More sports and less Levine exclusively on cleveland.com.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had 2 choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C, they transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
Well, hello everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Browns Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get texts sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Lobby, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text, but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week, and it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at smileyone.com.
Let's take a look at this date in sports history. Back in 1995, Hideo Nomo becomes the first Japanese player to make the All-Star game. Brought to you by Smiley One Heating and Cooling. I just used them in the last couple of weeks. They are tremendous. 216-575-0403. Mary Kay Cabot with us. Mary Kay, we talked about the defensive backfield. How concerned are you about the linebackers? Has it changed in the last couple of weeks?
No, nothing has changed at all. And that obviously is still the one area that everyone will be looking at when the season starts. Did they leave themselves short? Should they have added a few more bodies there? Do they still need a veteran to come in and sort of take charge of the room? Obviously, you're now without Christian Kirksey. You're without Joe Schobert. You've got young guys. You need Sione Takitaki to step up. You need Mac Wilson to play better. You've got B.J. Goodson coming in as a veteran from the Giants and then the Packers, and then you drafted Jacob Phillips out of LSU. So they have plenty of talent and competition there. It's just a matter of, is it going to be enough, and will it be good enough?
Was this done by design, or did they think by now they'd have somebody else in there, or now that they don't, they just said, all right, we'll see what happens?
You know what? I think this was by design, because I believe that if they really felt that they needed something more, they would have done it by now. They had all off season, they had free agency, they had the draft. And, I feel like Andrew Berry must think that, how he has stocked the linebacker room should be sufficient. Now, a lot of times they will only have two linebackers on the field. This is not a position they felt they really needed to invest a lot of resources in. And I think a lot of times they will be in those sub defenses. I think from the pool that we just mentioned, the Mac Wilsons, the Sionis, the BJ Goodsons, and the Jacob Phillips, those guys, I think they feel like they can get the kind of linebacker play that they need.
All right, so there's some risky moves here in the offseason they could still make. Cleveland's top two ball linebackers departed in free agency. Christian Kirksey signed with Green Bay, and Joe Schobert got a deal with the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Browns did add that veteran, as you mentioned, B.J. Goodson, and he's a replacement-level talent, however, and that's what that looks like. So there's a case to see if you can go get Clay Matthews. Jadeveon Clowney isn't the only notable pass rusher still available. Matthews III is still on the open market, and he may be 34 years old, but he can still be a productive player. And just last season, he had 80 sacks and 37 tackles. At this stage of his career, Matthews is not going to command the type of money that Clowney might. However, he's still a valuable defensive piece for a contender. Mary Kay, I've been saying that's a guy you want for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think he's still got enough in him to play at this level with a contending team. And of course, the history and his father and all that, that's an unbelievable PR move if they can make it. I mean, if they make that PR move, it's just not a PR move. The guy can still play.
Right. I mean, he had 8 sacks last year.
Yeah.
So I was kind of on that bandwagon but the more I checked into it, the more I just kept coming to the conclusion that they just weren't interested at all. And I don't think they feel that, last year was a strong enough year for him on a down for down basis. Yes, he was able to get to the quarterback, which I think is vitally important. But just for the role that he plays and for the level of play that he put forth last year, I just don't think they felt that was a fit for them. I still think it would be worth exploring at the right price, not only for what he brings on the football field, but in that linebacker room. I think that those young guys can use somebody like that. He's got tremendous leadership skills. He's been through it all. He has seen it all. And once again, he would do anything, I'm sure, for the Cleveland Browns, having grown up here and with what his father means to this football team.
Just point to the wall of fame up there, and his name is up there. I can imagine how Clay III would be able to, the pressure on him, but the fact that where else would you want to be in that if you're Clay Matthews III?
Absolutely. I mean, I know he would love it. He would relish the opportunity to do it. But once again, I just don't think it's in the cards. If it were, I think we would have heard about it by now. The only way that it would happen is if it became a sort of a last minute bargain basement price thing. Sometimes if the money becomes right, things start to happen.
Speaking of relishing, are you having the whole gang over tomorrow?
No, not really. I don't think we have any plans. How about you?
92.3 The Fan is my plan tomorrow. I'll be
That's
on
right.
from 3 to 7.
Well, I'll be listening to you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that very much. Northeast Factory Direct, the place to go. In addition to, they've got the lowest price guarantee that goes for a year. You buy something at Northeast Factory, you find it's cheaper somewhere else, they'll refund that money immediately. Check it out, and especially check out northeastfactorydirect.com. We'll come back in a moment. Mary Kay Cabot with us. We'll look at the Les Levine history and the history in review. We'll get some quickies a little bit later. More sports and Les Levine continues with Mary Kay exclusively on cleveland.com.
Your home is your most important investment, and your basement is the go-to part of your home. It's your children's rec room. It's where your family and friends spend time together. It's much more than just a basement. Now is the perfect time to add beauty and value to your home with an authentic NatureStone basement floor. And every NatureStone floor comes with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty. For a limited time, get our exclusive mini pearl stone for as low as $2.99 a square foot plus installation. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's NatureStone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Let's take a look at this date in Les Levine history. This happened in 1971. Les starts a job selling shoes at $5 an hour. At the top of each hour, he went to the owner's office and asked for 5 singles. I don't think the system works that way. This is the last live show of the week, so let's take a look at what happened here. 1964, Joe DiMaggio earlier had set the record for the most hitting games, the hitting streak in the American League. In honor of Joe DiMaggio, Les and a couple of his friends attempt to beat the record of Joe DiMaggio and the Yankee Clipper by eating Mauby's hamburgers 56 days in a row. Now, you're a West Sider, right? You wouldn't know what Mauby's was.
No, I've never heard of that. How did it go? How did that go for you?
We didn't win, but we had pretty good burgers. But I think we ended at 62 games in a row, something like that. What was your hangout? Bearden's?
Oh, I love Bearden's. I live here in Rocky River. I still love a good Bearden's burger. I am my father's daughter, my late father's daughter, and I still love a good burger. My husband laughs at me about that all the time. I just love to knock back a good burger.
What's to laugh at? Come on. You cover a football team. Come on.
I know. So yeah.
All right.
Bearden's is right up there.
We had a Facebook question of the day. That question is, does the elimination of the 2 preseason games hurt the Browns any more than other teams with an established coaching staff and system? Kevin Pyle says, well, definitely. The more you play with each other, the more you understand your teammates' tendencies and reactions and how to complement each other during the game situations. That's why teams whose core players have played together and have had a consistent coaching staff for a few seasons usually become routine contenders year after year. It's not just about talent. Glenn Berger says, yeah, for sure. In fact, the NFL allows teams with a new head coach they allow them an extra week of OTAs to enable the new coach to add additional time to implement his coaching philosophy. Coach Stefanski will be challenged by having only 2 exhibition games, so what else is new? But the reality is, if the reason you have a new coaching staff is your team probably wasn't really good. So giving them extra time is good, but if you don't have the core players at the important positions, I don't think it matters.
Well, in the case of the Cleveland Browns, I think the players were actually fairly good last year, except for when you look at the defense, there were so many injuries. They were decimated by the end of the season. I think last year was more a function of coaching. So this is maybe a little bit of a unique situation. It's not a team bereft of talent. It's a team that had plenty of talent last year, and it didn't have the coaching to bring it all out and to put it out there on the field and win football games. So there's a real opportunity here for Kevin Stefanski to get this thing turned around in a hurry. But the whole COVID situation did not help matters. No,
it didn't. But you've covered this team for such a long time and have seen so many new regimes coming in. And as things happen, you probably said, whoa, that may come back to haunt them, whatever it is. Have you seen anything yet that you've marked down and put in your notepad that says, check back in September about this one? Anything so far that's happened that you questioned at this point?
No. The only thing at all so far it has been just that linebacker spot. Do they have enough talent at linebacker, or did they come up a bit short at that one spot? I think everywhere else they should be absolutely fine. I mean, look at the offensive line, look at the defensive lines. I mean, they really worked hard to build those lines and fortify the trenches, and I think that's so vitally important. So I think they're okay in most spots as long as Baker Mayfield rebounds from his bad year.
Let's take a minute to just look around the AFC North and see what the Browns have to be faced with. Obviously, the favorite in this division is going to be the Baltimore Ravens. Has anything happened to change that?
No, I don't think so. I think that they have worked hard on Lamar's passing game in the offseason, and that he certainly has. So if people think that they can kind of rest on their laurels with the Ravens and that it's going to be the same this year as it was last year, then they'll be in for a surprise, because it's such a great coaching staff over there. They will adjust, they will adapt, and they will be throwing new things at you. So I think you can sit back and hope that you have that one figured out.
Okay, but the reality is, doesn't it look like if a quarterback looks like he's being set up to maybe to get hurt or have missed some time, isn't that the case here?
Well, you would think. I mean, it's a dangerous game, and when you're going to run your quarterback around that much, there's a good chance that he is going to be in danger. But they have such a good running game around him,
Right.
that he just doesn't have to carry the load all the time.
All right, different story with Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers. All indications are he's ready to go, right?
Yeah, that's what we've been hearing. So we'll see how that goes. And they're always tough. That's always a tough football team. And Mike Tomlin is a good coach. And you can never really count out Ben Roethlisberger if he comes back healthy. But who knows? I mean, time is ticking away. Father time is ticking away on Ben Roethlisberger, and he is coming off that big elbow surgery.
All right, Cincinnati, Joe Burrow, what do you expect from him?
Well, he's got a lot of offensive weapons around him, especially if A.J. Green comes back and is ready to go. So, I think that he's got a lot to work with. And if he is everything that he's cracked up to be, he really could come in and win some football games in his first year, especially if they give him things to do and they play to his strengths right away. That's the key with a rookie quarterback, is to make him look good and let him do some of the college stuff that he did well.
It's hard for a Cleveland Browns fan to root against this kid. An Ohio kid, obviously, and wins the Heisman Trophy and was phenomenal. And at what point are we allowed to say, okay, forget it, he's just another quarterback?
Well, you never know. I mean, this is going to be a big part of the Battle of Ohio probably for many, many years to come. And if he turns out to be an amazing quarterback and for some reason Baker struggles, then that's going to be one of those stories that continues to go on and on. I'm fascinated by the AFC North quarterback landscape right now. I think it's probably one of the best in the NFL.
Browns might have picked the wrong year to have that #1 pick, maybe, or to not have Joe Burrow there.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? I mean, like I said, I think everyone expects Baker Mayfield to rebound and become everything that they always wanted him to be. So hopefully for the Browns, that won't be an issue.
All right, the Browns getting ready to exhibition games down to 2, 1 home and 1 away. We do our show from 6 until 7 p.m. Eastern Time. If you'd like to catch us on a night that you can't watch it live, you, of course, can reach us on the voicemail of Truth and Reason at 216-200-6650. We do the show from 6 until 7 Eastern Time, 6 to 7 p.m., but you can archive it 23 other hours a day if you'd like to do that. We're going to come back one more time with Mary Kay Cabot. More sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Your home is your most important investment, and your garage is the entrance to your home. It's where your kids come in from school. It's where your family and friends gather together. It's much more than just a garage. Now is the perfect time to add beauty and value to your home with an authentic NatureStone garage floor. And every NatureStone floor comes with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty. For a limited time, get our exclusive gray-brown blend stone for as low as $2.99 a square foot plus installation. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's NatureStone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Tomorrow night, Dave Bacon will have the weekend winter edition. He will be joined by Dan Lobby and Stephen Means, as well as Chris Fedor and Joe Noga. What a cast of characters that is. That'll be tomorrow night. You see us from 6 until 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And then, of course, you can archive it any other time. We neglected to tell you about Sokolowski's University Inn, the only winner from Cleveland in the James Beard Foundation Award category. That happened about 5 years ago. It's one of the makes them the best in the country. Sokolowski's University Inn, established, believe it or not, back in 1923. Mary Kay Cabot is with us and is with us on Thursday nights. We appreciate that very much. She does a terrific job both here and her real job at cleveland.com and the Plain Dealer. What are you looking for this week? You got a holiday coming up, but do you know, for example, okay, you've got July 6th or 7th coming up. Do you have a specific thing you're thinking about, or does it depend on the year? And is this, other than the obvious stuff, are the storylines following the same, or is the storyline the COVID?
Well, COVID is a huge storyline. Right now, this would be the downtime in the NFL where, even the coaches take some vacation, the general managers take some vacation, and there shouldn't be that much going on. Of course, we have to keep our eye on a couple of stories, including the Myles Garrett extension and the Jadeveon Clowney possible signing. So those are a couple things to be on the lookout for over the next couple of weeks before camp begins, if it begins on time. But once again, the changing COVID NFL landscape is probably going to dominate headlines for the next couple weeks.
You talk about Clowney. We've been talking about him for ad infinitum, as somebody says. What's the latest here? Are they just waiting for the Browns? The Browns supposedly have put up the most money. Are they hoping that they'll give up more and they're just using the Browns as a poker chip?
No, you know what? I have to wonder if there isn't some connection between the Myles extension and the Jadeveon signing. They both have the same agent. So I don't know if it's maybe just in a little bit of a holding pattern right now. And there are some things going on behind the scenes that we don't know about yet. But, maybe there's a connection between those two things. So, yeah, I think that, Jadeveon Clowney told Josina Anderson this week that he will sign somewhere before the start of the season. He hasn't ruled any team out yet. And, maybe the Browns, I've been told the Browns might not be his first choice, but they are, they're still in the running. So don't rule it out.
Tell them they can get a cheaper house here than they can in some other markets. So that money the money makes up for it. The Clowney situation is interesting when you mentioned that they've got the same agent. You would think if that they will make each other better. You would think the agent would be pushing one way or the other. So this apparently would be a Clowney decision. I mean, it always should be the player making the call, but this one looks like more should be headed toward the Browns.
Well, when you have got two guys playing the same position and they're number one overall picks and they have the same agent, there probably is some, average dollar amount issues that you would probably have to deal with. It's just something that they're probably having to work through. And who knows, maybe at some point they'll end up with both of them.
See, I'm only thinking of it as a positive for both players. Are you saying it might be a negative for both players to have the same agent? Because maybe he downgraded, maybe he didn't get as much as the other guy thought he could.
No, I just think that maybe they're working through or have discussed some kind of package deal, but maybe Jadeveon Clowney wants to come in and make sure that he's making this. Maybe there's some dollar amount that you're trying to work through with both guys so that they both feel good about the amount of money that they're making in relation to the other one. But I do think that they both would bring out the best in each other. And I think that they would complement each other very, very well. And you would see the Myles Garrett that people really have been waiting to see if you can get a Jadeveon on the other side.
Okay, so what are we looking for in the next couple of weeks? Obviously, normally this is a vacation time, as you just mentioned. Are we looking for Jadeveon Clowney signing? Are we looking for finding a linebacker? I think the offense seems pretty well settled at this point. So what else are we looking for?
I don't think that we're looking for much else over the next couple of weeks. I think this is time for everybody to kind of just stay healthy and kind of quiet. And what we're looking for are now some details on how to get these guys back on the field. So I would expect that we will hear a little bit more from J.C. Tretter, the president of the NFLPA. I think we'll hear a little bit more from the union. We'll probably hear from the Browns about the start of training camp and how they're going to pull that off with their fans. I mean, some teams are are giving, like the Jets. Some teams are giving their fans a way out on the season tickets. I don't know that the Browns have any plans to do that at this point, but these are some of the things that will be bandied about over the next few weeks.
All right, Mary Kay, have a great holiday, and we'll see you on Thursday night.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Mary Kay Cabot of cleveland.com and the Plain Dealer. All right, that'll do it for us. Again, I'll be on 92.3 The Fan tomorrow from 3 until 7. So the first part I'm in for Baskin and Phelps, and after that for the Bull and the Fox. Hopefully you'll join us. We'll lots to talk about as the Indians start their spring training, or whatever they're going to call it. They'll start it tomorrow over at Progressive Field. It'll be good to hear those bats and balls being banged around out there, and hopefully they find a way to get this thing going. We'll see you on Monday night, and we'll talk whatever of all the shows I've ever done. This is the most recent.